All right, we're looking at this market right now, which is now off 654 points, so just off the lows of the session. But it ain't good right now. Stock's lower because there's a lot of fears about a potential trade war. But, as I've been saying over and over again, it's kind of important to deal with this stuff. China is a threat to our economy. China is a threat to our military. China has a whole lot more people than we have here. And the risk we're running is that if China gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and more powerful, which they want to do, and they've articulated that they intend to do, then how are we ever going to negotiate anything then? So shouldn't we take the pain now? Are American companies overreacting? Joining me with his analysis, Fox News national security strategist, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Dr. Gorka, I'm so glad to talk to you on today in particular, because you have been a very outspoken critic about China, about what they want to do and how we've allowed it to happen. So as we watch a market that's very nervous right now about a trade war, what can you tell investors?
Look, I can tell them my personal experience. Trish, I went into the White House to work predominantly counterterrorism issues. But once I had access, once I was given the classified briefings, I realized we're going to defeat ISIS, we're going to defeat the jihadis. The only strategic threat we face, it's not even Iran, it's not even North Korea, we'll deal with them as well. It is China. They are the only strategic long-range threat, and we've been deluding ourselves. This argument that as long as they get stronger and stronger economically, they're going to get more liberal and democratic is bogus. Xi Jinping just made himself president for life. The idea that short-term profits for our companies and next quarterly earnings statement is more important than the national security of America is asinine. And I'll tell everybody, we would defeat China in a real war, and we'll defeat them in a trade war. There won't be one. There won't be one because they're desperate for our markets and they're desperate for our technology and our innovation. But we will destroy the Chinese trade mechanism that is undermining us in terms of their intelligence penetration of our industries. We cannot allow them to do it any longer.
If you say, I'm going to step back and I'm going to let the free markets work here, you would think theoretically CEOs would be a little smarter than allowing their companies to be doing business overseas in China, where so much of their technology is stolen, or where they're not getting as good a side of a deal. But Sebastian Gorka, that's not what has happened. These CEOs, and you pointed out, quarterly earnings are so important. They want to look like they have access to these markets, that they're willing to basically sacrifice, I would say, their own company's future 10, 20 years out, right, all in the name of this quarter. And so how do we, as a nation that has capitalist fundamentals and a capitalist history, and we embrace capitalism because it is the best form of economics, how do we balance that with also knowing that we can't allow our companies to be taken advantage of in the name of capitalism?
You have to go back to fundamentals. You have to read the great late Michael Novak's philosophical works. You have to look at the works of Dennis Prager and others. Capitalism isn't just about making money. That's what the left would have you believe. They would have you believe robber barons are capitalism. Wrong. Capitalism is rooted in Judeo-Christian philosophy. It must have a moral compass, number one. It's not just profit for the sake of profit. And secondly, it's got to have a strategic intent. If you're not protecting the interests of your community simply because you want access to a market, well, guess what? That's business suicide. It's not going to be 20 years from now. It's going to be 2 years from now. Look what happened to Motorola in China. Why is Oracle not prepared to sign those joint ventures in China? I'll tell you why, Trish, because they know that they have to hand over all their intellectual property, show the blueprints, and then what happens to that Oracle product 18 months from now? It's being made in China for 30% of the cost it takes Oracle to bring it to market. No. So, we have to understand capitalism is more than profits, and I think most people do, but I think it's time the Wall Street Journal and others woke up to reality.
Well, we like the Wall Street Journal over here, but I hear what you're saying in that we can't be so focused on the myopic. We can't be so focused on the here and now and quarterly earnings, but we have to be thinking strategically about what is best for our children. and their
Yes.
children. And Dr. Gorka, I don't know, if we don't start to deal with this stuff now, there's going to come a point in time where we can't deal with it anymore, and China will hold all the cards.
Right. Look, again, you said it already. This isn't a hypothesis. This isn't Sebastian Gorka or Trish Regan. This is Chinese policy. One Belt, One Road states by 2049, by the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Revolution, China must displace America as the global economic, military, and political hegemon. That's just out there. That's unclassified. Anybody can check it up on their search engine. Do we wish to facilitate our being deposed as the most powerful nation in the world, or do we wish to protect our interests, our employees, our businesses? The question is really that simple, Trish.
I was going to say, very simple. I think we all know the answer. And, you know, it may get a little challenging along the way, but I would encourage all of these investors to be focused on long term. And in the long term, we're better off for taking some of this pain, so to speak. Now, Dr. Gorka, so good to see you as always. Thank you.